I hired my first coach over 10 years ago. So her name was Leslie, and I engaged her for one-on-one coaching, and it wasn't, there wasn't a promise attached. There wasn't like, this is what we're going to do. It's just like, get coached. And because that's the thing you did, and I was recommended to her, and so I did it. And what happened before the first session with Leslie in her home? She coached me one-to-one, went to her house, and then occasionally we met up in downtown Auckland, close to where I was contracting at the time. And what happened before that session was I started to shift my behavior, and I started being slightly more committed. I made a couple of decisions that I was ruminating on or dragging my feet on, one in business and one in life. And I changed my behavior because I became someone who was becoming, I didn't become immediately, I was becoming someone who got coached. And over the past decade especially, I've started to appreciate why and how and what needs to happen for results to happen. And most everybody wants more money, a better body, a better relationship, and all the things to varying degrees. Many of us are content with some things and minorly discontent with others, or majorly discontent with others. But in the process of being coached and being mentored and coaching people and mentoring them and consulting to them, the key to the whole thing was being someone who did. And that sounds like really vague and kind of high level, but the more I spent time with people who had exceptional businesses, the more I spent time with people who had exceptional bodies, the more I spent time with people who had exceptional relationships, the more I started to appreciate it's not what they did necessarily. The steps needed to be taken to get jacked. You need to go to the gym and eat protein and et cetera, and control your calories. Not necessarily count them because that sucks. But you need to be in proximity to these things to get the result. And it's far more the process that you invest in and the process that you have proximity to and the people along the way that actually shape the results. And in nature, biological organisms, which we are, eventually become part of an integrated part of their environment. And that is all to say that the proximity you have to the process and the processes that you need give you the progress that you need. And this is a massive contrast to even, in many ways, the things that I sell. I have, this is the tactics you need, this is the strategy you need. And honestly, that's not actually what people need. And the things that I sell on the front end, my low-ticket products or my workshops and the strategies I teach, I've got to be honest, they're the things that people want. And I use them to give people what they want so I can enable them to get what they need, which is proximity to people, the mindset, the state, the deeper thinking, the nuance that is actually required to ultimately get the results and live the life that they want. And throughout the years, every time I've committed to a process, sure, I did things. I have a personal trainer that we lift weights with. I lift weights, but I am also someone who has a personal trainer. I invest in myself. I have a boxing coach. I don't do boxing classes because I'm a snob, and I am someone who gets coached on something, and that is much harder because you're being corrected all the time and you're being nuanced, but it's also, what sits above it is someone who invests in themselves and is coached. I invest in masterminds not to learn things, to be honest, not to, hey, I need this from this and I need to extract this and I need to get this. It's so I am someone who is around people who are doing things, who are innovating, who are pushing themselves, who are thinking differently, who have success on dimensions that I don't possess, who I have success on dimensions that they don't possess, and we can cross-pollinate those kind of ideas. And I say to my clients in like this overly simplistic way, but it's so true. The way to become a millionaire is act every day like a millionaire. and do the tasks and take the actions that a millionaire takes. And that's not like, oh, I'm going to fly first class and put it on my credit card and I can't afford it. It's the actual steps and actions that that person takes. I send an email every day. I make an offer. I serve my clients every day. I offer ways for my clients to spend more time with me and upgrade and give me more money so I can give them, closer proximity and ultimately give them more value on the dimensions they do through the strategy, through the process and the principles. And so, if all we needed was information, then we'd all be jacked, oversexed and billionaires, right? But we need to become the people who do those things. And I'm sad when, not really, but it's such a nuanced thing to communicate that I'm sad when people don't invest in themselves, not because they're not giving me or my clients or anybody else money, which people get fixated on, or you're trying to get people to give you money. It's because they don't invest in themselves, because they don't give themselves a chance to demonstrate belief to themselves. And that is the key to it all, is that you have to have a delusional self-belief to get things by nature that are extraordinary or above average. And so the act of doing these things is much more valuable than the things you actually do. Sure, steps need to be taken, process needs to happen, you need to have a strategy, and a process and consistently apply it over long periods of time, and you need to apply exceptional effort at the beginning when you're doing something new. If you've got a new diet, you have to apply exceptional willpower. If you've got a new business, you have to apply exceptional energy, to get it on the market and get the plane off the runway. The metaphor stands. So the secret to all of this isn't a secret. It's just it's not accessible to people who don't have some level of delusion that the future is going to be infinitely better than today for them. And so you need it, I need it, we all need it to have, beyond hope, it's faith that it's worth it. It's faith that, going to the gym every day is worth it in the future because you'll have a better health span. It's faith that, doing the small things and paying attention to the detail and putting exceptional effort today will, get you a return in the future in your business, in your life, in your relationships, and take those efforts. And so, it comes down to being someone who does that. It's not the steps. The steps are required, but it's being someone who does and being someone who believes that they can, having the faith to do it. That's the secret. I wish there were more steps because you package up and sell it more effectively. But the reality, the key to all this is, believing in yourself and acting like it in the first place.